What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Awakening World. I'm Love Coach Scott Katamas, and I'm really excited about tonight's show because we're going to be diving deep into two areas that I think many of us are interested in. We're going to be learning all about the Pleiades, that extraordinary star system that I think many of us have a deep connection to. And we're also going to be talking about the two Marys, Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary. And to help guide us on this incredible journey, we're really blessed to have one of our favorite presenters. She is an amazing scholar, and we're going to learn all about her. Marguerite is back with us, and she always brings wisdom and beauty in her words and her expression. And where Marguerite is on the Awakening World, often Eden Amadora is also here. The two are, talk about sisters, the Pleiades are called the Seven Sisters. The two of you are definitely sisters from another mother. And so I'm really happy to have Eden here sharing her wisdom and co-hosting. And of course, we have our beloved DR with us, who's going to lead prayer time. And we have something kind of special tonight. Many of us remember our beloved Roger, who was with us all the way back from the very beginning. Today is his birthday, his breath day. And so Bonnie has a little something special she's going to share, and we're going to honor our memory and our ongoing connection to Roger Tellefson tonight. So it's going to be a wonderful evening. And of course, we're going to have a couple of musical numbers from Eden and also a couple of musical numbers from our house musical artist, our beloved Omashar, who I just turned it over to.
So happy solar eclipse day, namaste, and welcome everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube and beyond, because we know you're out there tuning in to us. And so this song I'm going to sing is called Earth and Star, and it's not a dance song, but you can waltz to it if you want. And let's get some suitable backdrops happening. I think we're ready. Deep breath. Beloved one, please hold me in your arms, supporting me, 'cause we have traveled so far. Earth and star, we are. Earth and star, we are. The one desire unfolding, the one true love evolving, 'cause we have traveled so far. Earth and star, we are. Earth and star, we are. And we feel it deep within. We know it in our hearts. We can bear the pain of separation no more. So come on, come and join us. Here's a taste of what will come when you let go, give in to the one. The sacred heart is pulsing, radiant light, revealing, 'cause we have traveled so far. Earth and star, we are. Earth and star, we are. Innocent child returning, pure and clear, emerging, 'cause we have traveled so far. Earth and star, we are. Earth and star, we are. And we feel it deep within. We know it in our hearts. We can bear the pain of separation no more. So come on, come and join us. Here's a taste of what will come when you let go, give in to the one. When you let go, give in to the one. We are. Earth and star, we are. Earth and star, we are. Earth and star, we are. Earth and
What a perfect and beautiful song. As always, Omar Shari, you got a knack, buddy. You've got a knack. Um, and I know this is, I think, your third Zoom today. We were on ACE together, and I think you did another one. Anything you want to share of what's happening out in this world of eclipse time?
The world it truly is coming awake from every different angle. All roads lead to Rome, and that's what I've got to realize. Is one thing the second call was Unity Earth, and someone on there, or was it this morning? They said getting over the habit of being myself, and and that is pretty interesting, really, because it allows the possibility for everybody's input, and everybody is not right or wrong, but they have a perspective, and all roads lead to Rome. And it's really interesting hearing everybody's perspective. And so I just see truly the world really waking up, and all of us, the choir, who we used to sing to the choir, but now we are the choir, and we're singing into the world, and we're singing in the resplendent glory of the source of all creation, Mother, Father, Goddess. Out again, and really for me it's just getting out of the way and learning how I get in the way. The last thing I'm going to say is another thing that came up is, am I a block to the light coming through me, or am I a blessing? And so I'm recognizing every time I'm a block and just flicking myself out of the way and saying, it's okay, you can have your cup of tea, but just let the master come in now. So there we are.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, bro. And he'll
Yeah.
be back, of course, throughout the evening with us. Well, I always am excited when Eden Amadora is co-hosting and providing her wisdom, her light, her love, her magic, her music. And so, welcome back to the Awakening World, Eden.
Thank you so much, Scott. It's so good to be back, and it's so wonderful to be here with all of you, and especially with Marguerite, who I just adore and love talking to. And I received so much download from Omashar's song, and just yes, this we are awakening together. What you said, brother, was so powerful, and especially in these celestial events like today. And we just came out of this, day at a time that led us into the Lionsgate portal, into this eclipse day where we are finding ourselves having the opportunity to transmit into the collective from these powerful energies. So I am excited about what might come through all of us.
Eden, before we introduce Marguerite, tell us a little bit more about kind of the progression of Day Out of Time, Lionsgate Portal, the eclipse. What's your understanding about this progression?
So this is a wonderful mystery of 13, which, I'm a 13 moon mystery school teacher and priestess. And we've been in a system that's been kind of wiggled around and forced into time equaling money and a taxpayer system of 12 months. But the Mayans and other ancient civilizations knew that there were 13 full moons in a solar cycle. And they knew that if you honored this 28-day 13 moon cycle, that you would have one day at a time to forgive all your grievances and debts, and to come together and celebrate and set down your worries and your work and just reset and start again. And that day at a time was celebrated by the Mayans for millennia. And that lands around July 26th every year. So a lot of people might not realize that that's a very potent day that begins moving us into the Lion's Gate, which, modern astronomers might argue, oh, well, the star Regulus doesn't really align to the heart of the constellation of Leo until the 22nd of August. That being said, this 8-8 portal has been kind of used to cohere everyone's attention and to focus on the energies of this portal. And as a powerful ceremonial time that our ancient ancestors celebrated, especially in ancient Egypt, the heliacal rising of the star Sirius. And Sirius, you could think about Sirius as the elder star to our sun. You could think of her like Isis to Horus, where her wisdom and her light codes are guiding us, like the Divine Mother. into this realm. So on the 8th of August, the ancient Egyptians would celebrate the heliacal rising of Sirius, which means that it rose on the horizon with our own sun visibly. And they knew that this meant that the Nile would soon flood, and it was a time of abundance and celebration. So we are starting to recognize this portal again and to cultivate the energies of lion-like courage on this day. So I was a part of a beautiful ceremony for the Lion's Gate, which was all about activating that solar lion, lioness in our own hearts, which could be synonymous to like your sun heart awakening, that unity consciousness awakening, that Christos Sophia embodiment, where we step boldly forward, heart first, together in love and courage in a world that seems pretty inverted and wild these days. But for those of us working beneath the surface of what's going on in the media, we know that we are awakening. And it is a wonderful time to come together. And as they say, when two or more are gathered in love's name, great miracles can occur. So we're still in that portal. Let's keep it rocking all the way until the astronomers say on the 22nd, when the star Regulus really aligns to the heart of the Leo constellation and Sirius. And then we'll just blast off in a celebration again on the 22nd.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really, really helpful. And
I also want to say one other thing, Scott. Today, this eclipses are times of letting go. Eclipses are times of shedding and releasing what no longer serves. And they do amplify what we're praying for and wanting to step forward in the new with. And this was a South Node Leo eclipse. We're in Leo season. The South Node in everybody's chart and in the Earth's chart and the world chart, it's looking at what's already been and what maybe no longer serves as your like main trick. Like the thing you've gotten really well from past lives is what your South Node reflects. And when you have a Leo South Node, which today is, and which I have in my birth chart, so I know this, it's about moving out of needing to be seen and the ego side of Leo into service and that Aquarian axis of where the North Node is. Your South Node will always point to your North Node across your chart, and it will say, this is where you're going in this lifetime. So for us collectively during this eclipse, we're looking at where we can take off the masks of performance, of needing to be seen, of needing to be right, of ego, grandeur, and letting that go in service to something greater, which the Aquarian energy is about the we. It's the we-evolution, right? It's about us all awakening together and moving into this time where it's about us. So it's a beautiful eclipse.
beautiful. Well, one last thing on the eclipse, then of course we'll go to Marguerite. But Rihanna Skywalker, who many of you remember, she's been on the show frequently. These are the cards that she created for today. Today is White World Bridger Crystal, Surrender and Cooperate, Multi-Dimensional Truth, Allow Death and Rebirth to Transcend the Illusion. And so questions to ask, and I'll put these cards in the chat box. How do I cooperate with the bigger vision of my soul? How do I die to the limitations to be reborn in expansive truth? How do I see the higher truth? Surrender the small view and fly higher. And then finally, the mantra, I dedicate in order to equalize, universalizing opportunity. I seal the store of death with the crystal tone of cooperation. I am guided by the power of endlessness. So there's some wonderful things to work with, and
I
I'll pop
think
these in the
that's
chat box.
super cool that this is Mayan wisdom, the Mayan time cell activation names. And I was talking about the Mayan day at a time, and it's in the field. The ancestors are speaking loudly.
They are. All right, I'm going to exit stage left and let you welcome our beloved Marguerite.
Wonderful, Scott. I hope you come back and join us with your own questions soon. So I'm thrilled to introduce Marguerite for those who have yet to spend time with her. She is a wonderful human being. She's also an incredible mystic, a historical scholar, a spiritual guide. She's the founder of the Seven Sisters Mystery School, which Scott will dive deeper into. We'll get to explore her page, but I do want to say she is offering priestess trainings from the Mary and Magdalene lineage. She's also the author of The Secret Life of Mother Mary, amongst other books about Mother Mary and the Immaculate Conception. I've had the great honor of being with Marguerite on the show several times. And tonight I'm especially excited because we're going to dive into something that she and I are both passionate about. And the name of her mystery school, this mystery that's in my background, is the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters. So welcome, Marguerite. Welcome once again to the Awakening World.
Oh, thank you so much, Eden, Scott, Omashar, Deara, and friends that I know from the Bay Area, Christy, George, several other folks. It's just lovely to be with you all, those of you I know, those of you I don't know, for us to really stir up this conversation collectively, because I feel like we're all the experts on the Pleiades if we just attune.
I love that you're saying that. I remember being a little girl and always finding Orion and those three stars on his belt, and my eye would immediately go to that somewhat blurry cluster, and there was a feeling I would get every time I would find it. It was like a honing device, like, where is it? Where is it? I know many have felt that way.
Yeah, well, you clearly have come in with a lot of Pleiadian memory, right? And there's something about the fact that that cluster is smudged. You can only see it out of the corner of your eye. Would that be the rods or the cones? I forget. But there's the mystery in that is you can't look straight at the Pleiades on any level. Otherwise, they will just kind of disappear before you. It's something that you have to look at an angle obliquely. We're talking about higher dimensional understanding. It requires a light touch. It requires imagination, curiosity, intuition, those kinds of things. So it's not, whenever I try to bore down on, what is the real history, it just, they're not like that. They're more about essences. So we can get into that a little bit more as we go on.
I love that. It's so intuitive. And one of the ways that my connection has come through is kind of in the in-between space where it's not a dream deep, deep into REM state, but it is an astral place, a visitation. So I know in the world right now, Marguerite, a lot of people are talking about disclosure, and they want to see 3D proof. They want to see spaceships and beings that they can hold hands with and talk to in English. And my sense is that it's so much more about frequency and
Yes.
us than we realize.
Yeah. A friend of mine was just watching this film, and they were saying from the astrophysics point of view, well, we want evidence that we're not alone. And I'm like, I'm just cracking up, because first of all, we're not alone. We're never alone. And you don't need to see a planet with people on it to know that, an alternative. And second of all, when we're looking for the three-dimensional proof, we can miss the fact that, again, these places are operating on different dimensional frequencies. So it could look like we're alone. It could look like there's nothing there because from our density, we're not seeing or feeling. So we have to attune to these emotionally, like we were saying earlier, intuitively. And then of course there's the whole native indigenous lore, which we can go into, which is like a historical map of the Pleiades that shows us this is not just a new age thing.
Right. It's an
Okay.
ancient
It's very
belief.
ancient.
And I think I remember the Hawaiians talking about coming from the Seven Sisters, as well as the Native Americans. And then
Yes.
one day I was musing on a script I was writing, and I had this hit. I said, I wonder what the Tibetan connection to the Pleiades is. And I went down a research rabbit hole, and sure enough, they also believe they're star-seeded from the Pleiades.
All
So,
right.
I
Well,
mean,
that's enough proof for me right there.
the Tibetans, I know they have this library. I heard there's like 10,000 years worth of scrolls and history, and
Wow.
they know so much more about our true history
Yeah.
than we do. I'd love to dive a little bit more into, let's go there. Let's go into some of the legends. Let's go into some of
Yeah.
the other even epochs of history that we can't prove, but many of us who
Right.
are awakening are remembering. There's a
Yeah.
sense of remembrance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all over the world, first peoples say they're from the Pleiades, you know. Um, in Japan, they talk about Subaru. The
Right.
Pleiades are Subaru, and they're masters of unity consciousness. Um, the Narangeri in Southern Australia and possibly also New Zealand talk about the seven sisters and their mother who come to Hindmarsh Island. Um, the ancient Greeks, and for those of us in the Western tradition, talked about the seven sisters of the Pleiades as essentially seven star mothers of humanity, which is a very different spiritual slash religious story than we have been told or shown.
Especially with Judeo-Christian religious
Yeah.
stories, not even really including the divine feminine
Not
principle.
at all. It's like the erector set model of creation, essentially. So, a really wonderful book on this is Munya Andrews' book about the Pleiades. I'm not sure if she's Australian, but that is a mother lode of lore. But the Cherokee, the Chalaki know that they're from the Pleiades and so forth. And each one has stories about what happened. Overall, this is a story of seven girls, seven sisters, seven adolescent girls who had womb knowledge, and they underwent travails in order to help humanity, to lift humanity up to another level. It is thought that White Buffalo Calf Woman, I'm not sure if it was Standing Elk, who said that White Buffalo Calf Woman was the youngest of the Pleiadian sisters. And what do we have with her? Well, she brought these technologies to the Lakota, right? To help them rebalance themselves after a time of coming apart. Like, so many peoples over the world have had their times of warring and things like that, sexual predation. And so she was here to really heal things. She gave the pipe and unity principles, right? So the Pleiades are really overwhelmingly about the principle of unity with diversity.
Right,
Okay.
which is the mother principle. It's unity consciousness that honors dazzling diversity.
And so this is something that we really need now more than ever. when strife is rampant, right? I mean, the strife energies that really started awakening back in 2011, or sorry, 2021, like never before. If you will recall what I'm talking about there. Remember that, what happened in 2021? And everybody diverged into all these beliefs and timelines. Families were fighting it out, best friends were coming apart, that type of thing. Because that's one of the tactics
Right.
of the not so friendly interdimensional forces. And so the Pleiades are kind of here like, all right, we see all that's going on. We're not going to violate the free will of humanity. We're not going to engage in any kind of warfare. We're just going to put the pulse out. We're gonna put the energy out. And what I continue to receive is, in a way, that's how they always did it. They always were putting the pulse out, and they're intimately involved again in the history of humanity. They are, on whatever level you take it, whether it's physical, biological, or energetic, they are our mothers, and they're very strongly connected with the feminine vibe. So that is something that, of course, our consciousness is reawakening to now. And so as we do that, we start looking at the Pleiades, not, in the earlier days of what was being channeled, sometimes it wasn't the feminine. Now, more and more, we're starting to understand, oh my gosh, they were masters of the womb knowing, and of feminine ways of being as civilizational imprints. Okay, so they are on whatever level, whether you consider it DNA or energetic, they are our mothers. They feel us, we feel them, and they have a stake in what's happening here.
Yeah, thank you for that. I know there's some comments and questions coming in. Are you tracking that chat bar a bit, Scott? I have one
Yeah,
more,
that's
I have one
actually
more question for Marguerite before we get into that.
okay. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, could we be them in the sense of witnessing beyond the veil and deciding to incarnate at this time for a very precise reason, to remember who we really are and to
Yeah.
assist humanity in this awakening?
Yeah. When you say we, do you mean humanity in general, or
I mean, the ones that kind of are listening that have a sense like, that's what I'm here for. This
Yes,
is my
exactly.
mission.
Yeah, I mean, I encounter many people, and I think I was seeing in the chat, I've always had memories of the Pleiades. I feel very strongly connected to them. So, there are various star systems, nations, locations, Arcturus, Pleiades, Sirius, Lyra, Andromeda, right, that resonate with us. And I think these are memories of where we are from, on the psychic level, on the energetic level, and that we are part of these missions to restore humanity to its understanding of multidimensionality, and that embraces the fact that we know we are not alone. There are star nations, but they're largely dwelling in these other dimensions. Okay, so you can't quite see them, right, with your 3D eyes. But you have to access them through the very means by which we will reawaken and realign this planet, you see. So all of this awakening goes together with what's needed for us as a human family.
When you spoke of white buffalo calf women, I had shivers all over my body because I had an experience in a garden in south of France on the Mary Magdalene pilgrimage where we chose to partake of a plant medicine. And I was going through a particularly tough moment where I had an aversion or a judgment that came up, and I went out into the garden to just be with whatever that negative feeling was. And I heard, remember your vow to love everyone. And at the time, the woman that was holding the ceremony, who was Norwegian, very fair, very beautiful, long blonde hair, she came out and asked me if I was okay. And I said, honestly, I'm better now. There was something that was making sound in the field that I was resistant to. And she started to do this kind of like hand mudra clearing. But when I heard, remember your vow to love everyone, I also said, and everything, including insects, and a large insect that was bothering me. And as soon as I remembered to hold nothing out of my heart, my friend, who's Norwegian, transformed into a different face that looked a lot wider with braids and this kind of bead work. It was like this being stepped through her. And there was no talking, it was all telepathic. It was very brief. And it was basically just, you remembered. Good. It was like a check in, like, love everyone, love everything, every creature.
Yeah.
And she came through and just kind of nodded in that moment. But I would have never associated her with the frequency of the Pleiades before this moment with you. And I do feel so, so connected to that energy of unity consciousness. So it makes sense that she would be a star kindred, an ascended one that could be working interdimensionally.
Yeah, absolutely. She definitely was not from here, well, in term white buffalo calf woman.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see this injunction to love everyone and everything. And that doesn't mean we don't have discernment, right? But it does mean that fundamentally we're not in resistance to anything. And we are cultivating that love energy, which is the plasmic reality and elixir of the universe. And that is what the Pleiades, I feel, are teaching about again. And that also shows us that they are related to who? Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, the whole Sophia Christos mission and lineage. It's the same, it's the overlapping mission to help us restore our love ability, meaning our ability to love and our ability to be loved and to love ourselves, right? I mean, this is like the greatest challenge on the earth right now. I shiver at the idea of love thy neighbor as yourself, dear God. Everyone hates themselves, so that's not going to be a very helpful principle right now until we get the loving ourselves aspect of it, right? So this is a healing journey that we're on, that I feel the Pleiades are helping us with, and the Marys are helping us with, the Christos energy is helping us with.
Yeah. I can't help but think about the visitations and the angels visiting Mary, and we can call
Where
them
were they from?
angels. Yeah.
Exactly. And I've spoken about this, that Mother Mary in her gospel, the infancy gospel of James, it's called, but it's about her birth and her infancy and all the way up to the time where she conceives and gives birth to Jesus. In the temple, when she, from age 3 until whenever age she was when she had Jesus, either anywhere between 12 and 16, it said that she was fed like a dove.
Hmm.
And so that is a direct Pleiadian reference, because the Pleiades have always been known, specifically in the Greek tradition, as doves. In fact, the word Pleiades is identical with PLEIADES in Greek, which is dove. Okay. So they are the 7 doves. They were said to have been transformed into doves in the heavens after they were being pursued in an unwanted fashion by Orion. What astral history are we talking about there? So they are known as, the dove mothers as well. Okay, so, and the dove, what has that come down to us as? Symbol of peace.
Yeah.
Very connected with Mother Mary, not just in how she was eating, meaning that she was eating like a Pleiad or like an oracle, a star being essentially. But that totem is often associated with Mother Mary and with Jesus, I think precisely because it is a memory of the Pleiades. So they're saying, hey, yes, we're all working together here. And if we are not from one continuous lineage, we are in energetically overlapping lineages.
Incredible. I'm riveted by this. Scott, do you want to come in with some of
Yeah,
it?
yeah, I'd love to share a few things. I have read all the comments, and so many of our audience members are feeling connected to the Pleiades. A couple things from my history when I was I was producing a show called The Paranormal Borderline, and we had several researchers and lots of people sharing their experiences. And some of the most credible, far out stories of people that I met were people that did claim to be directly interacting with Pleiadians, including making love with Pleiadians.
Wow.
And these were credible people, people that because you could kind of tell. Um, and I think one thing to remember is that we are at a time when humanity, on so many levels, we are being asked and maybe even forced, somewhere between asked, encouraged, and forced, to expand our consciousness. And a lot of that consciousness expansion is by having visitations. More and more people are seeing Mother Mary or aliens or extraterrestrials or deceased ancestors. And from what I understand, the Pleiadians are taking a big role in that because they look the most like us. And
Uh-huh.
so when you're seeing a reptilian being or a gray being, it's more likely to create more of a frightened reaction. Whereas when we're experiencing what some call a Nordic or a Pleiadian, they look like Eden. They look like Marguerite. They look
They
like
look like Eden, and what's not to like about that?
right.
Who would say no, go away? No, come in, have dinner.
Exactly.
All
Right.
right.
Do you want a praying mantis person to come visit, or do you want Eden to come show up in your
Exactly.
bedroom, you know?
Exactly.
So,
Oh
um,
my
uh,
God.
there are a couple of questions that have come in, and I also am going to read one. I've got two questions and one comment I want to read from Carol Craig. Um, Carol says something that speaks to me deeply is that the Pleiadians are clearly benevolent, higher dimensional, extraterrestrial, or spiritual beings. Um, they do not follow an organized religion or believe in an anthropomorphic God. Instead, they embrace a non-dogmatic, universal concept of source energy, cosmic consciousness, and divine oneness of all creation, which is, I think, where most of us are going when we kind of leave religion, when we leave belief systems, we kind of go into that state of being. So thank you for describing that, Carol.
Yeah,
Um,
that's beautiful.
One of the questions is that actually there are hundreds or perhaps even 1,000 stars in the Pleiades system. So what is it about the seven that stand out?
Right. Really good question. I mean, this is what comes down to us in the indigenous lore, right? And the Greek lore. So it's something to definitely pay attention to. I think what it has to do with is that it's a fundamental harmonic. The seven is a fundamental harmonic that's like a baseline. So like if you were to distill all of those 1,000 or 3,000 or 300, Pleiadian stars or planets or whatever, it would all siphon down into seven slots, you know what I mean? Seven energies is what I'm getting right now, or seven major worlds. Seven, even if it's many, many worlds, some of the worlds will have, the energies of Electra, or some Taygete, or some Kelaino, or some Maya. These are some of the names that have come down as the seven sisters, seven mothers, seven women. but I started to understand them as worlds of consciousness. So I just feel that there's something about the Pleiades that resonates on a 7 frequency, and it could be a 7th dimensional. That could also be a way of telling us that they're 7th dimensional. My birthday is 7/7, and I went to a 7 sister school, and it took me a while to realize, it wasn't until like I had a medicine ceremony and they're like, hey, you're a Pleiadian ambassador. And I'm like, what are you even? But they're like, well, you dropped memories for yourself along the way, your birth date, your, all these signs and everything. So I just feel like there's something about that harmonic, and it is also said that Hermes, who was born of Maya, the Pleiad, Hermes, the great god who's related to Thoth and master of all esoteric arts and so forth. It's said that he created the lyre, that instrument, with 7 strings in honor of the Pleiades. So that lyre instrument with the 7 strings is very important. The Pleiades are very much all about harmonics. Okay, so 7 and 7 strings. There's something fundamental. Again, if we try to look at it straight on, like 3D rational explanation, we can't. But if we kind of go, oh, wow, the 7 worlds, then it starts working on us on a different level, right? On a different level.
A couple more questions.
Mm.
George Noble, who had a visitation from a Pleiadian just in the last week,
Oh my God.
wants to point out that apparently, Marguerite, you were named Dove by your Pleiadian guides.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit about
Oh
that?
my gosh. Thanks, George, for bringing that in. Hi, dear. Yes. Well, in one of the medicine ceremonies I did actually up on Mount Burdell, I wasn't usually doing a lot of them, and this would be working with Santa Maria as a sacrament. I wasn't doing a lot of them outside. I only did twice outside. No, that's not true. But back then, when I was living in California, both times are when I got Pleiadian messages. So I'm sitting in this copse on Mount Burdell. You know how it has these different copses of little forests. I mean, each one is like a whole universe if you go up there. And I was sitting in one, and I had just done the research on divine birth and its connection with the Pleiades and the doves. And they said, thank you for bringing that forth. And in honor, to honor you, we are giving you the name Dove. And I was like, oh, wow, like I'd never been given an animal name or anything like that. And so I thought that was great. Beautiful. Again, something that I kind of held lightly. I didn't start like changing my legal name or anything, but just occasionally here and there in spiritual contexts, I would refer to myself as Dove and then, so thanks, George, about that. And then the other one, again, was I was in the redwoods in Olima, and I did a medicine ceremony there at a beautiful old gnarled grandmother redwood tree that I was a beloved friend of mine, a beloved grandmother. And I was walking back still in this open state. And it felt like the message came from like high above me. And it was that you are a Pleiadian ambassador, remember,
So
and
powerful.
I hadn't heard anyone ever refer to themselves as a Pleiadian ambassador. Subsequent to that, I found out that Christine Day calls herself that, and so forth and so on. It doesn't mean the only ambassador. It just means, one of many, like you were saying earlier on, Eden. We've got this mission, right, which is really just a mission of the restoration of humanity. So yeah, those 2 times, I mean, that was just a great honoring. And again, things that I've kind of held lightly over the years as I've gone about my life, as I've gone about my research and so forth.
I have another story connected to that south of France Mary Magdalene pilgrimage where this was before the incident in the garden with White Buffalo Calf Woman, where I had gone around with all the other ladies that I brought there to the sacred site, and I really didn't feel the spirit of Magdalene in the churchy places. It felt very dark and
Yeah.
heavy. I did feel her in the forest and at the
Yeah.
sacred springs. And I still bought some of the little kind of like cards and the Cathar cross. And when we sat for medicine, we made little altars, and I had many objects in front of me, cards depicting Jesus with this like rainbow heart, sacred heart light, water from Lourdes that Mother Mary was seen supposedly by a young girl there, and now the waters have healing properties. The Cathar cross, some selenite crystal, and I was sitting in the ceremony and I hear, "You don't need any of this stuff." And I proceeded to give away everything I'd bought except one card.
Yeah.
And one card only spoke to me. You know what that card was, Marguerite?
What was it?
A dove. The dove.
Okay.
Yeah, the dove.
Okay.
And so I'm almost like crying with, you know, where synchronicities are like winks from the goddess on the other side of the
Yeah.
veil, and you just get the message and the guidance you need.
Yes.
And when I sat back down after giving everything away and looked at the dove, I closed my eyes and went on this kind of ascension ladder experience. It's a longer story. I'll just say that once again there was a telepathic communication from the other side of the veil, which felt a little bit like good job. It was
Okay.
just
We are rewarded. We are thanked. We're honored. Yeah.
yeah, just the material altars and objects and rituals after a while. It's like a walker for a baby that you don't really need all that stuff. And you know, I'd been
No.
almost 20 years of creating temple spaces and altars to help women remember to love themselves basically through these divine feminine archetypes when really we are love, and just like unveiling all the stuff around you starts to dissolve. It doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
There's steps to help us focus our attention,
Hmm.
and that's the beauty of ritual. And that's why some people need church or they need temple because they need to do go through whatever they need to go through to focus their attention. I'm going to read one more question from Marguerite, which will then be good to lead into her website, and then we are about to be treated to an Eden song. Um, but this is from Christy Michaels for you, Marguerite, and she asks, I'm curious about your perception of the progress of humanity since you started the Seven Sisters Mystery School in 2012. I'm curious in regards how open are women now who come to your work? Are women having an easier time now? Are they more open-minded?
Wow. Great question. I mean, the first thing I thought of when I heard it is it's the best of times and it's the worst of times. And it's bester than it ever has been, and it's worser than it ever has been, if you know what I mean. Okay. It's like that shows you how we are progressing, but it's in the intensity of the duality, really. Okay. But what I do see though, overall, when I started this work back, I was going to CIIS, and prior to that, in my 30s. So nobody really knew what the word patriarchy meant, except for some nebbishy feminist scholars and stuff that I was kind of a part of. And nobody was the goddess, like the word just seems so bizarre. It was like, what do you mean, the Greek mythology, but over time, I mean, that's now part of the regular parlance. Now we're referring to women as goddesses, and people are understanding. So yes, there's been much more opening, much, much, much more opening. People are not only finding that the material through books and intellect and all that, but through their own intuitions, through the visitations, that Scott and others and Eden have been talking about, George, spontaneous eruptions, between the veils. So yes, I mean, I would say overall, the awakening is happening more and more and more. It's on a snowball down a hill kind of trajectory. And it's just so interesting how over the years, like originally I was such an Amazon about it. And in fact, the Pleiades are associated with the Amazons in ancient Greece, but that's really goes back to the Amazur. Christine Nartumid, a beautiful channeler, talks about that's really a Lemurian memory, of their lineage, the lineage. But I was such an Amazon about, got to get this information out there, got to get this work out there. People have to wake up. Da, 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 da. And so over the years, what's happened to me is that I've kind of like softened around all that. And it's more like, I just need to know what I know within myself. And it's less now about intellectual understanding and more about, what Eden was saying about the love vibration. So like that has settled me down quite a bit. Like I don't have to be as much of a warrior on this material. I just have settled down with it now. And now people sense and feel that vibration and come, to get the information. So it's interesting, like as many other people have woken up, I've been able to kind of calm down and come into my, my Mary energy more, the Mary energy of love and balance.
Embodiment, like
Yeah,
more than
I think so. I think so. Yeah, Christy, I think you'd encounter me as a different person to a larger degree now than a while ago when I was in California, for example.
Hi, Christy.
Hi, Christy.
And for those who might not know, who are just finding this and don't already know Christy Michaels, she has this incredible Mary Magdalene Feast Day gathering and show every year. She is a huge priestess of the unveiling of who Magdalene really
Yeah.
is collectively. And it's good to see you, sister. Wonderful to see you here.
Well,
Yeah.
what I do see is I see that softening in
Uh-huh.
your whole demeanor,
Yeah.
and there's a relaxed nature about you
Yeah.
and a radiance,
Oh.
which would speak to the embodiment
Oh, thank you so much.
part
Well,
of it.
I've just been working so closely with Mother Mary, or the aspect of self that is Mother Mary, we would say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to come down to like, well, what's really essential here, and a lot of personal healing, of forgiveness, all that kind of stuff. And this is the benefit of the years,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's why, because I was there when the first day that you opened
My God.
the Seven
You
Sister.
you helped me.
Yeah.
You helped me. You helped me
I
in
know.
so many ways.
I
Do my
know.
first presentation
I
on
know
Mother
that came
Mary
with my
and
first
everything.
vision that I had, where
Yeah.
I got this vision that I was supposed to do a ceremony to honor Mother Mary's consciousness to conceive light and birth a God. And Marguerite had just published her dissertation in two books.
Yeah.
And so I asked you, I said, can you be my keynote speaker? And the next thing I know, you and I are standing before 100 people leading this ceremony as if we had always been doing it.
I know, as if we'd always been doing it. So yeah, that was really, really beautiful. So nourishing
Yeah.
for me. Thank you.
Oh,
I'm noticing behind Christy is this beautiful rose, and I
Yeah.
know that a lot of women are awakening to this remembrance of the lineage of the rose, and yet many don't understand exactly what that means, but they
Yeah.
resonate with it so much. Is there anything you would say, Marguerite or Christy? Because I know that it has to do with the frequency of the Marys in some way.
Yeah. Well, for me, the scent of the rose removes resistance because there's a
Oh,
resistance. We like being our separated self, is what I've come to learn. I like my separate bed. I like my separate bank account. I like my separate house. There's a lot about being separate that we do like.
yeah.
But so to remove the resistance to move into what you're talking about, this unity consciousness, and to really experience the oneness that we are all this one life, this beautiful life, and we get to share and extend love in such a fulfilling and delicious and wonderful way. When I smell the scent of the rose, it opens my heart and helps me ascend, helps me move up through my chakra centers and really embrace this idea of that this is going to be good. I'm going to like this. It's going to be okay.
But it
So,
opens the heart, softens the defenses, quiets the
yeah,
mind, the
yeah.
ego.
All
Yeah,
is well. All is well. Be at peace.
the mystery of the scent. In the Marian Magdalene priestess training that I offer, I take everybody through the six senses mystery initiation, one sense per month. And scent is one of them. And those are encoded in the unicorn tapestries of the Clooney Museum, where the woman goes through an initiation. I've got Diana Dubrov's compassion oil, which has a lot of rose in it right here. So there are great mysteries upon mysteries, even regarding each of the senses and the scent. We could do a whole deep dive into what is smell, what is scent, where is that coming from? How is it affecting us on every, not just physically, but emotionally, like you're saying, Christy, but spiritually too. So these are, there are deep esoteric mysteries in all of these things that are associated with the Marys and and that rose being the lotus of the West.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. The flower that just keeps opening and opening and opening and opening and has the jewel at the center of it and is very much thought to be connected with the Marys for all of these reasons and more.
Yeah, Oma Shar is saying scent is connected to memory, and
Yes.
in the mysteries, in the divine feminine mysteries, we awaken through our senses, not in spite of them. And so in
Okay.
the more traditional religious structures of the patriarchy, it's like
Yes.
to suppress the senses to be holy. So in the feminine, it's like pathways to the divine.
Yes.
I'm going to come in just because we've got a lot of show left to
Okay.
do, and
Gosh,
we're already a
I've
little
lost
look.
track of I can't even do the math of where we are.
Oh,
I'm
that's all
already,
right. Well, where we
um,
are is since we were talking about the Seven Sisters Mystery
okay.
School, I just want to let people know where they can find it. And I invite everybody right now to go to seven, it's spelled out Seven, Seven Sisters Mystery School.com. Now, you're all on a computer right now, so you guys can all go there. And there's two things in particular. It's a very elaborate and beautiful website where you can really learn much more about the extraordinary work that Marguerite is doing. Make sure you put in your name and email address here, and she sends you a free gift. And so that's really important. 5 ways to strengthen your divine connection in chaotic times.
Yeah.
And I've actually gotten that in the past. It's beautiful. So everybody put in your name and your email address so that, you're on her mailing list. And then here is what she just referenced, the Mary and Magdalene Priestess Training 2026 and 2027. And you can learn more and enroll. And she's going to have a special event on Wednesday, August 19th. That's 1 week from tonight. So you can click there, and that'll take you to the page where you can learn all about it. It's a free live online immersion, and it's at 10 a.m. next Wednesday, a week from today, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 o'clock for our East Coast trends. Um, and so I really encourage everybody to check it out. I'm going to put this particular link into the chat box. And thank you so much. And we're going to be back with Marguerite, and we're going to drop in and really learn more about her work with the two Marys. But it is my pleasure now to pin Eden Amadora, who's going to share one of her songs with us.
So this is a song, even though it's called Walk Like a Lion, listen for the dove. Listen for the dove in the song. And I invite you to get up and move your bodies.
Gallery view for a moment. Let's all twinkle and send love and little hearts and things. Oh, that's such a perfect song for us.
Let me stop my sharing.
Yeah, that always happens. Uh, it's such a beautiful song. I'm going to read some of the comments that have come in, Eden. Um, let's do this real quick. I'm going to spotlight myself, and I'm going to spotlight you because there's some beautiful comments coming in. Dana Tomasino says, awesome. Grace says, so beautiful. Antoinette is in the house. That's fun. And she writes, magnificently beautiful Eden, love you. Jill Marie writes, lovely, walk like a lion, perfect for this Leo season.
And rise like a dove.
Judy Thorpe says, so amazing. Thank you, Eden. Susan says, no wonder you've got in your own television show. That's another conversation when you're ready to share. DR writes, so soothing and powerful. And Carol Craig, this is the perfect segue, says, love this song. Walk Like a Lion is the top of my Spotify list.
Oh, thank you.
And that's a reminder that you can, let's all go to Spotify. Please, I put it in the link into the chat box, but we all want to play it lots and lots of times. In fact, put it on repeat because the more plays that Eden gets, the more the algorithm goes, oh, people like her, and it helps her to reach more people. So we can all say thank you to Eden by saving this on Spotify. Just play it over and over and over. When you go to sleep at night, put it on repeat, and it's a wonderful thing to do. And that's
Thank
a
you so much. Yeah, if you keep your volume off, it won't keep you up all night. Or maybe it'll give you
or
really
you'll dream
cool
about walking
dreams.
like a
Yeah.
lion, right?
Or star walking with the Pleiadians.
Exactly, exactly. So you already had started, but we want to learn more about the two Marys. And so I'm going to turn over to Eden to ask some probing questions.
Yeah, it was challenging not to dive right in there because there's such this weave with the Pleiadian frequency as we kind of just naturally went there. I know that I've worked with a scholar named William Henry. Do you know William Henry's work?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
he talks a lot about the star walkers.
yes.
And I'm wondering if you could give us, like, what is the connection between the Marys and the Pleiades in your, like, intuition or your understanding of these codes they were carrying?
Yeah. On a number of levels, there are connections there. Um, I think they're all working the same path, as I mentioned earlier, of helping humanity to restore our connection with our divine light, with our sense of that we know we're one with infinite source, with love, helping us to heal. Okay, so they have those overlapping, and I just feel like the Marys have resonances in all the star systems, because they're holographic. They've kind of gone rainbow body, whatever,
Yeah.
and they're right. So they're part Pleiadian, they're part Syrian, they're part Andromedan. They're there wherever you go, there they are, because of the fractal nature. So they're all about helping humanity And they are all about helping us restore the womb knowledge.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
I want to hear more about that because I know
Yeah.
the concept to most people that there really could have been an immaculate conception is still, for the very sciencey types, very, very tough. And
Yeah.
yet, that being said, there's even new research about mice being able to reproduce from just the eggs without the semen.
Mm.
So I tend to like suspend that disbelief around the story and maybe expand into something a little bit more ancient,
Yeah.
miraculous that we just forgot. We forgot how to
Yeah.
do this technology. Can you speak
Well,
a little bit about it?
yeah. Well, with conception and the way we're more used to it, it's the male and the female coming together, or the yin and the yang coming together. But with these very high level priestesses, they had the yin and the yang unified within themselves. That was the sum total endpoint of all of their Gnostic initiations. They were able to, and goes beyond the Essenes, it's all around the world. They were able to have that inner unity. And when you have inner unity at that extreme level and you have a womb, you can conceive within that womb as though you are the yin and the yang coming together. So that's how I've come to understand what it is, and what virginity is really that sovereignty. It's that wholeness. So a an intimate relation with a male being wasn't necessary for those priestesses. And the benefits of that were that they did not have to interact with the karma of the human male and have that enter either into their body or into the lineage of the child. And so they could, that this was considered a sort of a purified way of having an advanced child. It was easier to have a high level child this way than it was in the tantric way, especially as things had devolved on the planet and the dimensions had gotten thicker. So these women were all about this knowledge of how to have this inner unity, and therefore how to literally conceive, self-conceive.
Right.
And this was a specialized process.
Wasn't Anna, the mother of Mary,
Yeah.
also known to have, is it called, can you say the word? It's like parthenogenesis.
Parthenogenesis,
Yeah.
meaning coming from parthenos, or maiden, and gignesthai, to be born of a maiden, meaning a woman, a girl who had never had sexual relations or had not had sexual relations for the purposes of that conception, let's say. Okay. So yeah, Mother Mary's mother, Anne, many of you have heard me talk about this, conceived Mary in this same way, according to her infancy, the infancy gospel of James. Hannah would have been her name. Their relative Elizabeth conceived John the Baptist in the same way. Sarah, way back in the Bible, generations earlier, conceived Isaac that way. And there are, other women in antiquity and across culturally who are said to have conceived in this way, as a special high priestess practice to perhaps bring in a kind of a pure Pleiadian, if you will, or whatever, star-seated, star-walking consciousness onto the planet type of being to help us,
When
You know,
we,
I actually I have a question that actually kind of fits right in, and it's interesting that you kind of both have referenced what you just did, because what I wanted to ask is, um, of all the books that I've read or stories that I've heard about Jesus and Mary and that time, the one that I resonate the most with is the book Anna, Grandmother of
Yeah.
Jesus. You know, when I was a kid, even the Bible I knew, I can remember thinking to myself, this is bullshit. This has been doctored. But when I read Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, it just resonated. Of course, that book goes into such great detail about what you're talking about. So I'm curious how that, if you two have read the book, and if you recommend it.
I haven't personally read it, though I've heard people talk about it quite a bit, and I remember being at one of the cathedrals in the south of France where there was imagery of Anna and baby Mary, and there were also some pretty fascinating Templar skull and bone symbols in that same cathedral. But these mysteries have been held secretly for so long.
Yeah, yeah. I think I have tapped into the book here and there enough to get verification, but I always knew not to read it so deeply because I didn't want to get influenced. I wanted to keep my own
Mm.
oracle clear so that I could verify or validate without feeling like I was getting pulled in. But I think, yes, she has done a tremendous job with Anna, grandmother of Jesus, and Anna, Voice of the Magdalens. And then she retired from that work. Wow. I mean, I tried to get her to teach with me or teach something, and she's like, I am complete. um, but yeah, and I've met Claire. She's a very, very interesting woman. Um, so yeah, that was a major advent on the planet, what she brought forth in those two books. And whether you agree with every single detail or not, I think the overall lines are very important. And she was channeling that while I was writing my dissertation on divine birth in ancient Greece. So it was it
Amazing.
really corresponded. Um, and that was like a cosmic validation, I think, for both of us on
Mhm.
this. And to go back to the Pleiades, I mean, they are considered virgin mothers of the world. So originally, even though the Greek stories talk about them as having been, abducted really by some of these negative male gods, ultimately they originally are virgins. So they were meant to give birth parthenogenetically, or there was something about the parthenogenesis codes that was in their knowledge, or the knowledge that they were transferring to humanity, whether it's because they had themselves physical advents on the planet and gave birth, or whether they were seeding the ideas into the human women so that they could conceive, Pleiadian identified children. That's a mystery. We just don't know. But again, that really connects them with Mother Mary. I mean, I actually channeled once that Mother Mary was the eighth Pleiadian sister.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That makes her like a star walker that can come in and out of form, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The ascended ones. I
that's
want to
right.
ask you because the name Mary, I know there were many biblical Marys, and there's been a lot of talk about, is it a title? Is it really a name? Does it mean of the sea? What is this Mary, all about? And who was Mary Magdalene really when so much was distorted and hidden for so long? In fact, I have a new being in my life raised very Catholically, very religiously in the Catholic religion. And I said, they kind of lifted the veil on Mary Magdalene. She's now considered the apostle of apostles, the 13th apostle. And he was like, when did that happen? Even though he's met the Pope. Like, so most of the world and the religious world doesn't realize that there's been this whole kind of lifting of the veil around who Mary Magdalene really was. And I would love, just for newer people who don't already know and love you and your work that are catching this, if you
Yeah.
could just illuminate, why is Mary Magdalene so popular in the rising feminine movement right now? Who could she possibly have really been? And what is
Yeah.
this whole confusion about the Marys?
Yeah. Well, as I've said, I believe that the name Mary, the anglicized name Mary, goes all the way back. It goes back to Maria in the Greek. Then that goes back to Mariam or Miriam in the Hebrew. And then that goes back to Mary in Egyptian. And Mary was a title that meant beloved of the divine. And it was often given to high spiritual leaders, both male and female, the beloved of Ra, the beloved of, and so it is a title, a priestessly title that basically connotes divine love. All right. So that is what a Mary is, what a Mary is. It's a priestess of divine love, one who is love, one who loves, one who is beloved of. And so Magdalene, so this was a name that was given multiple times. In fact, Mother Mary's biological half-sister was also given the title Mary. And that we find in the apocryphal material. So yeah, these women were Marys. They were priestesses of love, of womb wisdom, of inner seeing. And then the Magdalene name probably comes, when you break it down, comes down to Watchtower Guardian. Essentially, you probably know that, Eden.
I've heard that. Yes, the Watchtower women are rising
The
together.
Watchtower women. So
Yeah.
the Magdalens, and it may be that she did come from Magdala. Synchronistically, it might have been named that, but it was a nickname for her. That is known. Scholars understand that it was a nickname. Like Peter was the rock,
Right.
Magdalene was the watchtower. Okay, and what is that? Well, that's a benevolent watcher. A
Mhm.
benevolent watcher of humanity. She's still doing it. And that is why we love her and resonate with her, because she's got a hand from one realm into this one. And she's like, come. And we're like, okay, you're my gal. She's a little closer to us in valence than Mother Mary, who's like really one with the pleroma now, if we're going to
Right.
call, she had her full ascension. She like went, wha. Magdalene may be on the Bodhisattva path, I think, kind of. I have that feeling about her. And so she's here more like our sister, and Mother Mary is more like our mother. So Mary Magdalene is very accessible. And also, she was the one who was pinned with, the very human sexuality. So she's a little more identifiable for us as well, versus a virgin. Right? So, these beings are active. I believe they're active in and of their own right, but they're also active as holographic mirrors of what's inside of us. And that's all they're trying to show us. They're not saying, I'm so great, worship me, or become me. They're saying, become you. And that's what the you that I am, I am. That's what the whole I am thing is. And that is what I teach in the Mary and Magdalene priestess training, ultimately is for women. This is not about like, oh, now we're all going to be devotees of Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. It's like, no, you're going to be a devotee of yourself.
Right. Of
The one
the
divine,
higher self, the
yeah,
part
the
of you
one
that is,
divine,
yeah.
exactly, for the purposes of healing self and humanity, helping humanity with this ascension process that we're all about now.
Yeah, and this
It's awakening.
full embodiment. I like to think about this kind of benevolent descension of our higher selves into our avatars, where we walk in love, as love, for love here on the planet.
That's right.
And
That's what we're aiming for, which was the original way, the original Eden.
so
Quote your
we've
name.
gone through all these cycles. It feels like for those of us who are paying attention, especially to like megalithic architecture and discoveries being made on the planet, that there have been more advanced times, golden ages. And it feels like whenever humanity gets into this very like dark, agey kind of crunchy time, it's almost like the pressure of the diamonds to then come through the rough, right? And when I tune into Christa Sophia and the Magdalene archetype as the watchtower, I feel like this is the time that it is, because of that rub, the duality that you were talking about earlier. that we are so needed to remember who we truly are here and to walk as light bearers. When I think of a watchtower, I also think of like a lighthouse. I think of like,
That's right.
like let's hold a higher frequency so that we can, it's almost like we didn't believe the 4 minute mile was possible until we saw it. We watched the master musician, we watched the master athlete. So for those of us on the show who are part of the awakening world, it's like we are the watchtowers. We are being called to remember for the one.
Yeah, and really live it in our lives, and I get that humbling lesson every day. It's not I don't know.
Yeah.
Certainly I haven't gotten perfected yet, so
Right. It's about
it's just a
choosing
path.
love over
Yeah,
judgment, over fear, over stagnation, whatever is
yeah,
like on the menu of that day is challenge or initiation. How
yeah.
do
And there's
we,
always something. There's always something. But I can say, given things that I've been going through now, it gets you get adept at not falling into the victimizer 3D model of it all. You can lift yourself up quicker and quicker. I've been noticing that lately, like, wow, how is it that I'm getting through that particular challenge with this kind of grace? And I go down and then I just can dip up way more quickly. Whereas years ago, it would have been weeks, months, years that I would be crunching, grinding with
yeah.
those thought forms or those emotions. So something's happening. And through the continued activation of these practices of meditation into love, or just simply asking the Marys to help you, we are rising out of that pit.
So as we work with these allies beyond the veil, Marguerite, as you commune, whether you call it channeling or meditating upon or communing with, how can, I know you're going to teach about this in your course, but just like a little nugget for us about the Marys, how can they practically help us in those struggles day to day? How could you describe that process a little bit for us?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I just call on them multiple times a day. That was the one benefit of growing up Catholic, because you were sort of encouraged to like beseech these deities or whatever. And so I'm kind of used to that. And it's great. I mean, I'll just call on them whenever I need anything. Be it lying in bed and having them hold me, or I'm in the middle of an altercation and I'm like, Mother Mary, please help me, know what to say here. Um, or I'm starting to wig out about one thing or another, and I call on the Marys, and because of this practice over time, asking them and receiving, asking and receiving, you can hear it more and more quickly. Even just standing here, being aware in the middle of a conversation, and practice it in your meditations, in your prayer times, when you wake up. Just say, please walk with me today, or I have this matter on my heart or mind. Please help me with that, right? So they are so available on the inner planes, which again, more and more, I'm realizing it just means that you are available on the inner planes to yourself.
Right.
Right. And like Scott was saying, we need the tools, we need to call them Marys, right now, whatever it is. And it's a lovely thing. And I think it can be both but again, the inner is the outer is the inner. So just practice calling on them if they appeal to you, or if you're curious, or if you're like, hey, let's begin a relationship here. You don't have to have been brought up Christian, Catholic, none of that. These are just masters who are available, like you're calling on Kuan Yin or whoever.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you for that. That really does take it out of like the mystical ethers, and it's a very practical
Oh,
practice.
it's so personal. That's why I'm doing that Experience the Cosmic Marys event, to help walk people through that process of seeing them as living companions. Okay.
Wonderful.
And then we deepen into that in the Mary and Magdalene priestess training, and then really help you thrive and bloom like that rose. Like, okay, what am I going to do with this now? in my life in the world.
I want to go right to that page one more time, since you
Thank
just
you.
brought it up, and I'm going to tune into it. I just put it into my calendar.
Oh, good, Scott. It'll be
So
so nice.
a week from today at 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock. Um, is Omishar going to be in England by then? Just around then. Um, that's when it's happening. Experience the Cosmic Marys. It's a 3 hour program and it's complimentary with registration. So go to sevensistermysteryschool.com. If you scroll down, you'll see this. I'm going to put it into the chat box for our Zoom audience one more time. But most of the people watching are watching either our recording or they're watching on Facebook or YouTube. So just take a screen share right now, and then you'll have the URL up top, and then you can just copy the URL, and that's how you can get there. And we all want to begin the journey. You click, and it takes you right to how you can reserve your complimentary place. So
Yes, and
encourage
two
everyone.
things about that, Scott. One is that at the end of that, for the last 45 minutes, I will be working with the Sacred Plant Medicine Santa Maria to come into Oracle space and answer people's questions from there in terms of who are the Marys, what is this world about, what mysteries do they want us, whatever your questions are, right? We're going to go into that. And the other thing is, if you think you might be interested in the Marian Magdalene Priestess training, which I'll go over a little bit during the call, there's a time-sensitive savings opportunity that you can enjoy. So I recommend either live attendance or watching it in replay within the next 2 days to partake of that. And, priestesses are every age. Okay. What is a priestess? It doesn't mean you have to be like 25 running around with a utility belt and,
I
flowers
get
in your
this
hair.
all the time.
Yeah, it's like,
Right.
what is a priestess? A priestess is a sacred woman who's living and radiating these Marian energies out into the world, taking them, making them live and amplifying it. So that's what,
I think
that's
we
what
need to
I'm.
dispel some of the like hoobity doobity woo about priestess.
Yeah, I know.
This
It's
new,
sacred woman.
yeah,
In
this new
in
Catholic.
ancient Greece, it was Yerea, which
Yeah,
simply meant sacred woman. And we're all
yeah,
sacred women.
yes,
And the trainings like the ones that we do just simply help you,
yeah.
steep in that a bit more.
This new
Well,
friend that was heavily kind of indoctrinated into the church said, for me, when I think of priestess, I think of someone slicing the throat of a goat under the moon
Oh,
and
yeah.
pouring the blood on the altar. I'm like, maybe some back then did that,
Yes.
but it doesn't look anything like that in my life. But
No.
we really need to modernize what it is to be a lamp lifter, a way shower, have a clear mirror to lead with love and help
well,
people
the two
remember.
of you are doing exactly that. The two of you are perfect examples of modern day priestesses and the way you combine mysticism and personal spirituality with love. Because ultimately, the only thing, from my point of view, that's truly spiritual in the world is treating each other with kindness. And both
Exactly.
of you do that beautifully. You do everything, that's Lead with Love is Eden's television show, one of her many television shows, and certainly her motto. And so thank you both
Yeah.
for
Thank
really
you.
giving us a beautiful modeling for a modern day priestess and providing insights and wisdom. And it's just, it's wonderful. So
Well, you're
thank you.
a great reflection of that in the sacred masculine, Scott. You're one of the
That's
most compassionate beings that I've ever met, and the way you hold everyone with such a huge heart and compassion. We're all blessed.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
providing these gatherings is really quite a ministry. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah.
It does feel like a ministry, honestly, Marguerite. It is kind of like our congregation, and
Mhm.
everybody, has become really close. Like later tonight when we're going to honor Roger and have Bonnie, that's what a congregation does, and everybody's kind of gotten to know each other. We pray for each other now, we take care of each other. It's a beautiful thing. It's really beautiful. And it's always wonderful to have both of you with us. So thank you
Really
so
fun.
much. And Eden is going to bless us with a second song. So
Sure.
I'm excited about that. And thanks again, Marguerite, for being with us tonight.
Yes, I'm gonna have to hop off. It's late over here. You know, it's past Marguerite's bedtime, all right? But it's
Thank
been
you.
absolutely wonderful. And Eden, you are a beautiful, brilliant singer, songwriter, performer.
Thank
Mwah.
you, Marguerite. So good to be with you again. So much love to you.
Lots of love, everybody. Mwah. Bye.
Good night, Marguerite.
Marguerite.
Mwah.
So, this next song, in honor of the Divine Feminine and Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, and that Divine Feminine in all of our hearts, which men, you have a Divine Feminine part too. So, when you sing and dance with this, feel it inside of you as well. This is the mother principle, the Divine Feminine principle that is rising in all of us. Woo!
Oh, that's
Thank
such a
you.
great song. It's become like an anthem. You really look at all the hearts that are flying your way.
Thank you, everybody. Aw,
Uh,
so
of
fun
course,
to share it with you.
while people put comments into the chat box, I do want to let people know where you can find all things Eden Amadora, and it's easy because it's her name. EdenAmadora.com is her beautiful, beautiful website. And it really is a lovely website. There's so many things going on there. Um, and for those of you who are female gendered or even men, take the goddess quiz. What goddess archetype are you? Um, and I've taken it, and it's really, really fun. And she kind of go through, you answer these questions. It's really fun what she put together. So that is where you can find. And also a reminder one more time to please go to Spotify and let's really make Walk Like a Lion a big hit. Let's get it out to the world. So play it, put it on repeat, share it with your friends. And it's obviously it's a great song, so it's wonderful to listen to over and over.
I will also share, Scott, that very soon I'm going to be coming out on a show called Embodied, about embodying our higher selves, embodying love, and it's on sparktv.ai. I will have a very special link when my show comes out that I'll send to you, or I'll come back on the Awakening World and share about it. But this is a fantastic opportunity. They found me through social media. They said, "We love this work you're doing. Will you broadcast it to a wider audience?" And I wasn't directed. It's not a scripted show. It's just working with women one on one, the way I do very privately in the priestess work I've been doing for almost 20 years. And seeing these women just in a brief hour, just letting go, and tears of like joy and love. It's all about coming home to the heart, and for them to have just a taste of that, but then to broadcast it to a wider audience, that people know that this work exists, that it's possible, that it may touch many people. So that's coming soon on sparktv.ai. And I made sure, I'm like, "You're not going to make me an AI, are you?" Because I don't want that, but it's just their website. So that's coming soon, and I'll stay tuned with you all when that's out.
Oh, well, we once you know the date, we will definitely have you on the Awakening World because we're going to want everyone to watch it. You know, we all love you, Eden. You are one of you just so beloved. And so I know everybody's going to be excited. People are saying, Christy wrote, "I'm so excited for you, Eden." Jody writes, "Awesome, celebrating you, Eden." Jody writes, "What a beautiful blessing. Such a wonderful message of freedom, untethered. Congratulations. Now all the appreciations are flying in your way."
Love you all. Thank you so much. So
Thank
good
you,
to be
Eden.
with you.
Love you much. Well, speaking of love, Bonnie and Roger are two people that have been really with us all the way back to the beginning. They came to both Global Peace Tribe retreats that we held, and I really remember them at the retreats especially. Those were really really fun times with them, and they brought their dog, and of course Roger passed a little while back. But today is his birthday. And so we are going to celebrate him, and I'm going to bring Bonnie up. And thank you so much, Bonnie, for letting us celebrate Roger. Um, and in a moment, I'm going to read a little something that she wrote. But what would you like to share uh, to get us started connecting here with Roger?
Just want to thank Scott and all of you for remembering my sweet Roger. Um, it's been a hard time to get through, but I've started to recover and move forward. Um, I wanted to have Scott read my testimony because I read it to myself 3 times, and each time I tripped over the words so badly. I thought, oh, just have Scott do it, and and I'll sing a song afterward. I'm better about singing than talking. Anyway,
Uh,
uh, go ahead, Scott.
Okay, well, I'm going to show a couple of photos. And some of you were there, but this is a fun photo from when we had our Global Peace Tribe retreat in Sedona. And right there on the far left, there's Roger and Bonnie and their beautiful dog. Of course, I'm in the middle holding Jasmine Bear, but right here, here's Roger and Bonnie and their pupster when we all came together for that retreat. And while I read uh, what Bonnie wrote, I thought it would be really lovely for me to just put up this picture of Bonnie and Roger. They continue to be a beautiful, beautiful couple. And so I'm gonna invite you to just look at them and send both of them love. Send Bonnie's precious heart love, for, of course, it's hard when you lose your life partner. And Roger, celebrating him on his birthday, that he may feel our love and our appreciation. And what I'm going to read, it's going to take a few minutes, but it's a really beautiful, beautiful sharing. So here it is. It's the memorial statement of Roger Lee Tellefson, and they were written by Bonnie. Born on August 12th, 1948 in Sacramento, California, Roger was adopted out at 3 days old. It was believed without found proof that his adoptive mother paid for his adoption after discovering that he bore some deformities in his feet and legs and a weak muscular structure. It required braces in his early youth. He had an adoptive brother named Gary, who was so different from Roger in every way. Bonnie would call Gary the scapegoat child in a very dysfunctional family. Lois, his birth mother, was unstable in relationships, having had multiple marriages and children. His father, through ancestry research and contact with his sister, was found to be a Wadsworth with roots dating back to early American history. He was able to trace both parents' whereabouts, and he did eventually meet both of his birth parents separately. Lacking normal nurturing and a loving, supportive upbringing, lifelong trauma was the result. Roger's adoptive father, Mr. Tellefson, was a meat store owner. He was verbally abusive towards Roger and physically abusive towards his adoptive mother, leaving emotional scars throughout Roger's life. His brother Gary came home from Vietnam, an addict, and not long after was found locked inside his house, victim of a suicide. In his final years, Roger decided that his goal and purpose was to establish legislation for adoptee rights to their original birth certificates and have access and contact with their birth parents. Now, to date, this has not been established in California, but it was petitioned for inclusion on the ballot. And some of you may recall that we did an Awakening World show with Roger on this topic. Roger graduated from McClatchy High School. He took an early retirement from his employment as a federal civil engineer. He was a member of Unity Church, headed by Phil Pearson, and he was introduced to his first wife, Georgia, by a friend. They had 2 children, Marlene and Kurt. Georgia was a primary teacher, and her focus was always on the children. In later years, the relationship was not a happy one, and Georgia died in 2011 of heart failure. 1 year later, Roger suffered a heart attack and was given a double heart bypass surgery. Roger spent lonely hours on Facebook and sent a friend request, which Bonnie noticed he was a Unity member and a friend of a friend, so she accepted his request and kind of forgot about it. In 2013, Bonnie's husband of 44 years died of pancreatic cancer. After 3 years, Bonnie began to feel ready to find a companion. And so through grief therapy groups and dating sites, which she now says those dating sites were a big mistake. But at the same time, Roger was making the same mistake with no positive results. Bonnie decided to surrender the matter of finding a partner to God. And not long after, she received a Facebook birthday wish on her birthday from Roger. Now, Roger was in the habit of always sending birthday wishes to all of his friends that were online. And at that point, she looked at his profile, and to Bonnie's surprise, he matched every quality that she longed for in a partner. Bonnie sent him a message which began a conversation that lasted long into the night. They met the next day at the same location where they both were taking dance lessons on separate nights. The similarities were endless. Same church, same friends, same interests and likes, same books, same music. Bonnie looked into his eyes, and her first words were, "Your love all the way down to your toes." He said, "Yes, and my toes are misshaped." Bonnie replied, "So are mine." They removed their sandals to compare feet. Yes, both of them had funny feet. The next day, she met his dog, and the dog sat on her feet. And Roger said, "Now that's a very good sign." Bonnie invited him home, and Roger never left. They had a backyard wedding in 2017, the rings that were engraved with, quote, twin flames. Bonnie wants to remind us never to underestimate the power of love. And Roger would have added, never underestimate the power of chocolate. Another love of his was his Ford sports track pickups, both money pits, but he kept tinkering with them, adding improvements with the aid of YouTube instructions. "YouTube is my friend," he often declared. He was so enamored by sports track pickups, he could pick them out in heavy traffic and even crowded parking lots. "Sports track!" And Bonnie would simply smile while rolling her eyes. Until his health disallowed it, we would meet with his cousin Warren to bike ride the bike trails all throughout the area. Warren was always there for Roger, and Bonnie recalls his wife Nancy protectively grilling her upon the first meeting after Roger and Bonnie got together. Their marriage lasted almost 10 years, and Bonnie writes, "We made them count. Traveling, road trips, shared interests, ordinary moments, and togetherness. Roger was so good-natured. We never argued or fought, never had a critical moment. It was total acceptance, in spite of our imperfections. He told me, quote, 'You're not who I was looking for. You're who I needed. Bonnie, you taught me what love is.' We are both empaths. We thought so much alike that we completed each other's sentences. Such a softy, his glasses were always smeared from his tears of compassion. He was a mirror for me, allowing me, that being Bonnie, to be more of who I am without judgment." Roger's love for animals was evident. Rarely did he leave his dogs behind. He overcame the fear that Bonnie's cats had of being held, and he took on the responsibility of all the pets' care gladly. They gravitated towards him, seeing his big heart, just as Bonnie did. A week in the hospital in January and another 3 days in February should have warned us what was to come. Our dog Cindy sensed his struggle to live in the hospital, and if a dog can cry, she did. Roger's big heart gave way on February 20th, 2026. I found him slumped over on the couch, but every attempt to revive him was unsuccessful. The shock was unbearable. I cried until I couldn't cry anymore. But already signs were everywhere that he hadn't left spiritually. Lights flickered. Even today and every day, the coffee pot timer beeps a gentle beep when it's time to take daily supplements, and a small string of honeybee lights over the fruit bowl turns on during the day and turns off at night. Another expression of Roger's gentle ways and undying love. Thank you so much for writing that, Bonnie. So beautiful. And I know you're going to sing a song, um, so take it away.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a song that I used to sing as a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the stars are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away beyond the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? If tiny little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I? Fly, fly, fly so high, you could almost touch the sky. Thank you, thank you, thank God for you, the wind beneath my wings.
You go to gallery view for our friends that have their cameras on. I'm going to read just a few of them. There's so many comments that came in. Dana Thomasina writes, "How divinely sweet. Happy to have met him in person in Los Angeles." Carol Craig writes, "What a beautiful memorial to Roger." Susan writes, "Very nice." DR writes, "Still heavenly love on earth." So beautiful, Bonnie. Sage writes, "Bonnie, I'm sending you so much love. You were both so loving and caring when we were together in Sedona and Los Angeles. I've enjoyed getting to know you." Karen S. writes, "I miss seeing Roger's face every week." Tim writes, "Much love and support, Bonnie." Jody writes, "Amazing lovebirds. Big warm hugs." Antoinette writes, "Thank you for blessings here. Eternal now, early loving." So, and more comments continuing to come in. Dia Therese just wrote, "I have the delightful experience of being with Bonnie on a Zoom meditation every night, but Wednesday and Saturday when you're together on the Awakening World." So thank you, Bonnie. I think all of our hearts are broken open with what you've shared, both the writing and your beautiful tribute of your song.
Thank you so much, Scott, and everyone. Appreciate it.
And we're going to roll right into prayer time with Deara.
That was so beautiful, so tender, the heavenly love still present here on earth. Blessings to you, Bonnie and Roger. Blessings to all those who've lost loved ones, all the couples who've been parted and yet still remain together, because we know that love is eternal and love crosses all boundaries. Also, blessings for the families that have endured situations like those that you mentioned to us of Rogers. Sending love to all those places requiring more perfection in their imperfectly human experiences. We're also sending love and light into all those in our Zoom room and outside of our Zoom room experiencing less than perfect health right now. Sending love and light to Doherty and Bob Wesley experiencing health issues and the possibility of earthly separation. And sending love and light to our beloved Scotty Satori. And sending light in, Scotty, to your beautiful body as a transfusion. Sending that energy in. Sending love to our beautiful Sylvia. Sylvia, sending you the strength that you get from the trees when you touch them. Welcoming our beloved Terry Russo back into our Zoom room, Terry as a caregiver for her parents. And we bless all the caregivers and caretakers. I'm sending love and light out ahead, Omashar, to you and your mom for your visit. And of course, thinking of our beloved Cornflower, taking care of his parents as well. Just sending love and light to all of us as we go through transitions, as we also go through the experience of love and loss. Prayers for Anissa, daughter of Ben Hooverman, and that's for deity. I'm sending blessings out to any of those who were able to make it into the Zoom room that may be listening live or replay. And just embracing the tenderness of our hearts, embracing the innocence of our souls, and bringing the love and light of the Marys in from that divine conversation. And knowing that that title of Mary is bestowed upon all of us as we learn to love ourselves with that inner sacred marriage, and thus be able to treat others even more kindly. We're all learning, and as Scott always says, how perfectly human. So sending that back to you, Scott, with so much love. Thank you for allowing me to be of service.
Thank you, dear. I'm going to go to gallery view and let's have a minute or two of silence, sending love and prayers to whatever is alive in your heart. Big prayer to you, Roger, up in the sky. Thank you for blessing us with that big, beautiful heart of yours and your consistent devotion to Bonnie and your devotion to the awakening world and to the Global Peace Tribe. And thank you, everybody. We're going to go to Omashar in a moment, but I want to let people know about what's happening this Saturday night because we've got a really fun show coming up. And it's kind of going to be in two parts. Of course, the show will start as usual on Saturday night at 6 o'clock. And in our first hour, we're going to meet a new friend, Cecilia Saint King, and she's a wonderful vocalist, musical artist. She's played with some extraordinary people. She's got quite a following. And also our good friend Ashok is going to be with us. So the first hour is going to be very musical, a lot of wonderful music. And we'll also get to know Cecilia and learn a little bit about her world. And then at 7 o'clock, we will tune into the closing ceremony of Diara's Friends with the Interfaith Spiritual Awareness group. And their closing ceremony is going to include our good buddy Ben Bowler, Matthew Fox, who's been on the show, but not for a while, and of course, Abigail and Steve, and of course, our beloved Diara. So we'll get to kind of be with them for the closing. Then we'll come back to the Awakening World and probably have a little more music with Omashar, Ashok, and maybe even Cecilia. So it's going to be a really fun show on Saturday night. And definitely, I hope that you can join us. And speaking of Omashar, it is now my pleasure to turn things over to him.
Jai Guru Deva. Oh, we're all here to change our world. We are here to change our world. We're all here to change our world. We are here to change our world. Jai Guru Deva, Jai Guru Deva, Jai Guru Deva.
Hmm. What a perfect, perfect song. How do you do it? You're amazing, Omashar.
It's me and John, brother.
Oh boy. Well, listen, if Eden and Marguerite can tap into the Marys, you can certainly tap into John Lennon, no doubt about it. Thank you, Obashar, and thank you everybody for being with us tonight. Um, and I'm gonna go back and bring up everybody. Um, yeah, thank you for being with us. It was a beautiful evening, and I hope to see you all on Saturday night. It's gonna be a really fun show, and have a beautiful, beautiful week. Blessings and call upon the Marys, call upon the Pleiadians. Who knows? Maybe some of you might even make love with a Pleiadian someday. You just never know what's going to happen. We're living in an awakening world. Anything's possible. Take care, everybody.